Hello everyone, welcome to GT Time. I'm your moderator, Kyle Bossman, and joining us as always is our uniquely talented and knowledgeable panel, including Brandon Jones,
Yeah.
Daniel Bloodworth,
Hello.
and Michael Damiani.
I like the new Kyle Bossman.
This is the new
New
Kyle
Defy
Bossman?
Kyle Bossman.
You're totally different, man. What
Comment-
happened to you?
People were
Commenters,
saying how sad you were.
yes. Commenters, please tell us how different Kyle is at Defy.
Because that's like a thing where like, I was like, you know what? If I had a podcast, I would never announce names like that. I would just be like, let's get rolling, let's not even announce
You're
names.
channeling the last Lavelle right now.
And now it's like, I like doing that. Announcing names is fun.
You only get to do it once a week, so you might as well just.
It happens,
feel
but
it.
once a week.
It happens but once a week. Kyle is allowed to announce names. And yeah, I like announcing, you all have great names.
Bloodworth is the best. I mean,
Yeah.
Damiani's nice. Damiani's
Yeah,
a good,
yeah,
nice
yeah.
one to end on. Sounds like a dessert. Oh, the
Yeah.
Damiani, please.
Yeah.
Dessert now. Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And I imagine Damiani sounds like a delicious. It sounds like a roll, like a cinnamon roll that with like whipped cream on top of it. That's what a Damiani is.
I could go for a Damiani right now. It's the kind that they like blow towards the top of it.
All right, so let's get straight into our corrections and clarifications. Please begin music. A lot of people, this isn't really a correction or a clarification, but a lot of people mentioned demos that did make them buy games, and I really appreciated that. So that was cool. There are a lot of demos out there where a person gives it a chance, checks this out, and says, man, I gotta buy this game. So I think it was cool to see lots of examples of that. But still, like having open access to a game seemed really popular too. Much like Blood with Civ 5, where it's just like, hey, play this for free for a weekend, and then he's like, yeah, I gotta buy that. There were a lot of people who did that too. So thanks for commenting. Also, Calgareth was the only person to call me out on this. Richard Sherman didn't scream at the reporter at the end of the Super Bowl. It was the NFC Championship against the 49ers, because that was much more heated. The Super Bowl was a blowout, and like nobody was heated at the end of that. So thank you for correcting me on that. Please end corrections music. So cool, that's all we had to get through. You all give me nervous faces when I start that segment. Just like, oh no.
You seem nervous
what's
while you're
coming
saying
up?
it.
Do I? Yeah.
Well, it's corrections because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, what did we do?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like a
yeah.
report card. You know.
It's good to get it out of the way at the beginning of the show.
If they're all your fault, then we're fine. But if something,
I take responsibility for all of them. If any of you make a mistake, it's on
I was
me to
actually
fix
really
it.
excited when I got one. I said something weird about Steven Spielberg one
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
and
yeah.
People were like, got all huffy, and it was like, oh, cool, like, a chance to clarify yourself.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
a
yeah.
chance to, like, so much of what we say just gets thrown out there, and it's like, was that correct? I don't know.
Yeah, that's
The cameras
why
were rolling, and I said it.
we have vigilant commenters for that sake, which I really appreciate always. Just as I wanted to get the clarifications out of the way, I want to get our first news story out of the way pretty quickly.
Out of the way.
Get out of the way. We had some DDoS attacks recently. We had PSN down again.
Which are not hacks, which is the distinction a lot of people are really frustrated about.
Right, attacks and hacks.
Mm-hmm.
Blood, before we, the other ones were like Twitch. Twitch was DDoS'd. League of Legends apparently Riot was, and Xbox Live was slowed down, and I think at some point off, but not for too long. Blood, what's the difference between a DDoS attack and a hack?
Well, I mean, a hack is you're like actually gaining access to something, and a DDoS attack, you're just like spamming the server with requests and slowing it down. So it's basically the same as like, when Halo 5 comes out, they're going to get hit hard because so many people are trying to access, and this is just like an artificial way of doing that until like the entire system starts shutting down.
And my layman's impression of a DDoS attack is that it takes no talent. Is that true as well?
I'm not sure. I haven't actually done one. I don't know how you set them up, but I'm sure it takes less than actually hacking something.
Because I guess the interesting part of that is that an individual has claimed responsibility for this.
Which, like, do you really buy that? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, do you buy it, Blood? Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I feel skeptical. It's like, is somebody could just be out there, taking the credit and acting like a cheeseball, and it's, somebody else actually pulling the strings.
I bet he's a cheeseball too. I bet they're both cheeseballs.
Absolutely, they're all cheeseballs. Anyone like doing a DDoS attack to take things down, that's the thing. So Lizard Squad is the name of the Twitter account, and I was like reading through Lizard Squad's tweets. This person bringing these servers down is having a blast.
I'm sure.
It is just like, hey, if you want Twitch back, send me a picture of Lizard Squad on your forehead. And like that is what a human being is doing. as this human being brings down Twitch.
Where's Batman when you need him, right?
Exactly. Someone needs to solve this riddle, and it is that: is how does this person send out tweets from proxies and not get caught as an individual person? It is crazy. My question to you, panel: do you think this will continue? Do you think even after this individual person leaves, will more rise up? This is why we need Batman, right? Do you think this is going to be a continued issue? Damiani, go ahead.
I mean, it's always going to happen. I mean, it just happens at different times. I guess it was just, the fact was when it hit all the other services, they were able to come back really quickly or didn't keep them down for that long. Whereas Sony had the most extensive amount of downtime.
It was
people,
all day Sunday.
So people started to
Yeah.
think there was like something more, something else was going wrong there. Like, oh, they're actually getting hacked and stuff when, they weren't getting hacked. And of course they had the big outage in 2011. So it's like, oh, what is this like happening again? So, but people always going to try and do it. There's always like ones that happen. I know like Google or an Amazon report, oh, someone tried to do it today, but like lasted for like 30 seconds and we fixed it. So that was like kind of the running gag was for Twitch. People were like, oh, they're protesting the Amazon deal. It was Google who's DDoSing them now because they're upset.
Yeah.
But then people were like, oh, can't wait for Twitch to get on those new S3 servers because then they can never get DDoS. And I'm sure like some people somewhere are like, challenge accepted. They'll try and go after them. But
What are S3 servers?
they're like Amazon's godly servers that everyone apparently, like, if you just read comments, this is just like people who just believe this, like you can't DDoS these servers, or like they're so like
Oh yeah,
amazing.
you should never say that. That's
Yeah.
That's just like
unsinkable shit.
inviting, like,
Yeah.
but those are commenters. Amazon isn't saying that.
Absolutely.
It's just people saying that. So, but apparently everyone, if you ask anyone who knows anything about servers, they're like, oh, Amazon servers, they're amazing. You gotta get on Amazon servers, those S3 servers. You should probably just like actually look it up. I recommend our commenters actually look it up.
Okay.
Because I'm the same boat. I just like hear S3 and like everyone's like, they're amazing.
They sound cool.
Why are they amazing?
S3 sounds cool. Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
S3. It's like
Yeah.
DDR3 versus DDR5. It's like, ooh, it's like the next level of servers or something. Somewhere in the comments, some technical person's like, how do you not know what S3 is right now, guys? Like, you're supposed to be like drawers and stuff.
I'm not even
Like,
doing a clarification on that next week.
Yeah,
We're
we're
gonna
not
say that now.
we
We're
did not actually say what they are. We're just saying we've heard they're cool.
We've heard they're cool.
They're cool.
S3
Next
is the
story.
word on the street.
All right, so let's move on. I'm excited about the rest of the news this week. So I'm glad we got that one past us. We'll see if that's a continued thing. Who knows, right? No one can. This thing struck me. This very few times do I see something and say that's not real, and it happened with this case. Some Mario Kart DLC was revealed this week, and it showed Link of the Legend of Zelda fame riding a motorcycle with Mario characters. I thought I would never see this.
I've been wondering why they haven't done it, so it's interesting to see it come as DLC.
It's obvious why they haven't done it. It's because they've been trying to protect that IP. Do you know what I mean? And now Link will just appear in anything.
What do you mean protect? He's been in all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah, I know. But that happened this week, and basically, I want to talk about the package, what you're buying with this, because it is crazy. It is. There are 2 packs, DLC packs. First
Yeah.
one comes out November of this year. Next one May of next year. Each pack includes 8 tracks. That's 2 cups.
That's a lot of tracks,
That's a lot of tracks. 4 new carts,
including the Blue Falcon.
including the Blue Falcon. They haven't revealed any other new carts. And then 3 characters, Link included. And if you buy all of that together, it's only $12, $12 US. So that for $12, you get basically half of what you bought for $60 in the whole package of the game. So my question to the panel is this DLC a good deal?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, I mean I think
End
it
of
is.
story.
I mean,
Yeah.
considering the quality of the courses and stuff in Mario Kart, and then again, like it's kind of funny to me because it's like they made Mario Kart more like F-Zero, and now they're putting F-Zero track and car in it.
F-Zero track, yeah. Where it's probably all anti-grav. Yeah, it's probably, oh my gosh. And so I guess, sometimes I feel a responsibility when I sit in this chair, when you have this position, to be like anti-DLC. You know what I mean? Like, we should always be pro-consumer. And this DLC I want, and it hurts me how much I want this.
But here's the thing: it's so far out after the original release of the game. It's not like so many of these was like 2 weeks later, hey guys, here's the new stuff. I'm like, you guys obviously had that just waiting around and
Right,
you didn't
right,
put
right.
it in the game. You know, this is far enough out and enough amount of content to where I can legitimately buy into the fact that they made this after they made the game. It wasn't just even if it was planned, it was probably pre-production when the game came out.
And super smart to do now because, like you're saying, it's been so long since launch, and people are gearing up towards possibly thinking about buying a Wii U this Christmas, for Smash Brothers. And so I'm assuming there's going to be some. Are we going to get another DLC past this, or is this like the big add-on?
I assume this will be it. So when Mario Kart 8 first came out, they said, hey, we're going to do a year. We're going to promote this game for a year.
Mhm.
And basically, in May 2015, they're getting to that point, which is crazy. And so, yeah, I think that will be the end. I think they wanted to live for a year, and then at that point.
Or it could be, like the Borderlands template where if they do really well, then it's like, okay, we didn't plan on doing anymore, but let's do some
it.
more. Yeah.
You're right. Borderlands is a really good example.
I'm just wondering if there's a Game of the Year edition of Mario Kart that people can expect. If I decided to hold off and I get a Wii U this Christmas, and all of a sudden there's the original price of the original Mario Kart, but it's so much better because it's got all this extra stuff in it.
Oh, exactly.
It could happen, but I don't know if you could bank on it as well as some of the others. But
because we hate that stuff, right?
There's a good chance.
Don't we hate that stuff normally?
From my perspective, I don't have a Wii U, so it's like, oh yeah, that'll be the perfect time.
I know.
But it'd probably be like end of the summer of 2015 or something. It would be so far out. Like they wouldn't just put that out there as soon as the second DLC pack's out.
Right. Here's another strange thing about this DLC package. You can buy it now. You won't see these tracks until November and May, but you can buy it all today. But
If you do,
you get 8 colors for Yoshi and 8 colors for Shy Guy today. And I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to do it.
Didn't the UK page for it, at one point it said sold out, but it was just because it went out ahead of time, so they wanted to take it down.
Yeah,
I saw
I think
I
that
saw a photo.
happened.
It's someone's like, how does it sell out? Is it that popular?
Honestly, I think they wanted to announce it. I think that UK site went live, and then they saw the response, and they're like, okay, let's just sell it today. You know what I mean? Let's push the announcement forward. Because the announcement has been a lot of idiots like me who are just really excited about this, who are just saying, yes, give us DLC. My question basically is that a bad thing to want DLC?
No, of course not. What you were saying is a question of how it's packaged. Is it something like Mario Kart or a fighting game is a perfect game to add DLC to? Because where does he get the DLC from? You get more characters, you get more customization, you get more tracks.
It's not
Yeah.
necessarily story oriented or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Well, also Mario Kart, the strategy has very typically been they put out one Mario Kart per system.
Yeah.
It's not Madden where every year you're buying another one. So I think that too is it's worthwhile to extend the life of that because we don't even know when the next system's going to come out. So when's the next Mario Kart going to come out? Who knows?
Yeah, definitely not in the Wii U. That's a very good point.
I'm really looking forward to whatever happens to Grand Theft Auto 5. I'm surprised it's been past when they had announced this after GTA 4. And so I really want that next installment. I'm stoked that it's separate from the game because it'll be its own separate story. I'll be revisiting the map, so maybe they can make some other places, like there was the racetrack that had a sign out front that said opening soon. So it was well, clearly that's the
cool,
the expansion will be a racetrack thing. Maybe it won't. I don't know.
The prison, right?
Yeah, the prison was never used, and that's on the map. So again, it's how it's packaged. If it's something like Rock Band used to be, where just intermittently every now and then maybe you might get a song, maybe they're related somehow, so we can name it something clever like the hard metal expansion or something that's you can get less excited about that, but hey, you shouldn't be ashamed, Kyle.
Okay.
You feel really bad.
I feel a little more confident in how much I want that thing. I'm so excited. That's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Isabelle from Animal Crossing is also going to be a Mario Kart racer. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, moving onward before I get too excited. This week, Google didn't purchase Twitch. Amazon purchased Twitch this week.
It's a funny surprise.
Yeah, it does make me second think all those Wall Street Journal articles where it's report Google to buy Twitch. And we talked about it on this show not long ago, probably over a month ago at this point. And our general consensus was a little nervousness, I think, which was weird. We were excited for Twitch because we like Twitch, but it seemed weird. Does this seem less weird or more weird that Amazon's buying Twitch?
I guess it was just I guess why it's so weird to me is
Okay.
just because it seemed like Google, like everyone just assumed Google bought them. It's done. Like,
Yeah.
just haven't announced it yet.
Yeah,
And it was like, oh, it's imminent. They're going to announce it this week. And then all the changes started to happen, like video on demand. We're having like, audio checks. So if you use licensed music, everyone's like,
And that happened days later, basically.
yeah. And they're like, whoa, well, this sounds like Google policies. And everyone's like, well, we're leaving Twitch because Google's buying them and they're implementing YouTube policies. So time to get out, time to go to Hitbox. And then all of a sudden, Amazon's buying. Like, wait, is Amazon like do this type of stuff? And then it came out that Twitch was doing those on their own. They weren't doing it because of any Google stuff. Apparently, they just wanted to do that so they would preemptively stop any kind of like lawsuits and stuff like that. They didn't want to get.
Which they would, as they keep expanding,
They
they're gonna
saw
have
what
to
they
eventually,
realized they were becoming like the next YouTube, but for like live streams. They're like, yeah, we kind of got to do this because someone's going to come after us, and we don't want to like deal with that crap. But I think most people initially, the Amazon deal, it's a sigh of relief because people were worried that those changes were being pressured onto Twitch by Google, and people kind of feared like what all the changes that happened to YouTube in the last year. People were like, we don't want to see Twitch change too much. Like, please don't screw it up. Like now, like, oh, Amazon has this history of buying up these other services and then kind of leaving them alone, but giving them like those S3 cool servers. Like, here you go. Like, so now people are like, oh wow, Twitch is going to be better now.
No
because
more
they're gonna-
30-second delay.
Yeah, they're gonna have
Yeah.
like all these better servers, and Amazon's gonna give them like more money. And so, I think that there's like a honeymoon period right now where people are like, oh, like Amazon's not so bad. I like Amazon, so they're gonna be good. Like, this is gonna be good for everyone. Whether or not that's true, remains to be seen.
Well, that's actually kind of funny because both sides in their press releases stressed the independence of leaving Twitch alone.
Yeah.
So, they put a lot of emphasis on that because I think they saw that the people were nervous about the Google meddling, so they wanted like, hey, we're not going to screw it up.
Yeah.
So
That's a good thing to stress, to be honest.
Yeah, and the other thing was, I mean, I don't know the final. Someone was saying it was like 1.1 billion was what they got bought for, and the Google deal was rumored to be 1 billion. But somewhere I read it was like only 972 million for the deal.
I think that's the official.
I thought it might have been
970, yeah.
less. So I'm like, why would they go with less money? And then what Daniel just said, like maybe Amazon was promising, hey, we're gonna give you as close to Google's offer as possible, but we're gonna give you more,
well, the other
independence.
version of the story, which I didn't see what the source was that Google backed out because they were worried about antitrust type things. So that's kind of interesting.
Oh, that Google would just own too much of the internet? Is that what you mean?
Well,
Well,
yeah.
too much video. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, but the deals they usually have auditors who go through and like for these big deals and say like, we've done the analysis, like the FCC's or so the government is not gonna like come down on you, like it will pass the antitrust regulatory stuff. I'm surprised like nothing that's been like mentioned. I'm sure it would be like on mainstream news, like Amazon acquires Twitch. Oh, the FCC or someone from the U.S. government is like, they have to have like a hearing about whether or not it's like violating antitrust. Like none of that I've heard has come up. But maybe behind this is a little bit more behind the scenes because as popular as Twitch is, it's still not as like mainstream as like big media companies.
Right.
So that could be true as well. But it could also just been like who knows? Maybe Twitch did want that autonomy. Like, hey, we don't want you guys breathing down our necks because there is other services that are springing up. Let's not give them the opportunity to thrive. Like Hitbox, everyone's like, Hitbox, dude, that's gonna be the new Twitch if Google buys them.
So they just said, take this $30 million back.
Yeah, like here, Google. Here, but we don't know.
We're fine with
It could have been.
970.
It could have been Google backed
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
It could have
yeah.
been Twitch is like, yeah, we have another offer. Hold on a second.
The antitrust stuff is interesting because I guess it's interesting in that it's not a traditional thing for Amazon to own, based on what Amazon already has. Brandon, you think it was a good call, a good purchase?
Was Twitch a good? Was it a good idea for
Amazon to
Amazon to
purchase
be
Twitch?
interested in buying Twitch?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
I think it's surprising too. Like you're saying, I don't think Twitch has really hit that like super boiling point yet, where it's like Twitch is so hot right now. Like Twitch is hot, but it's not.
They
hot
built that foundation though. Like
no, they definitely have that
getting
foundation.
them integrated into the console so that anyone can just push a button and start streaming.
Totally, and something we
Yeah.
recognize, as people who are passionate about the video game industry, it's very important to us. But for a major corporation that has their hands in so many different things, to be like, we got to get involved in this before this gets so big that we can't.
The other
can't
thing
afford it.
I think is interesting is like Amazon, like the way they worded it, they didn't see this as like a video play so much or a live streaming play. They saw it as a gaming play. Like it's still continuing that sense of Amazon wants to get into the gaming space, and that's what they saw Twitch as.
Ooh. What if that Amazon console? What if Twitch becomes exclusive to the Amazon console?
The Amazon Fire
you can't,
TV.
You can't have it. You can't have it on Xbox One, PS4
No.
anymore.
I did doubt
No
that.
way.
I'm
kidding. No.
I don't think they even like their Amazon
No.
Fire TV.
No, they don't. No, the secret console, the one that's still yet to be revealed.
Oh, the hardcore one.
Yeah, the one. Yeah.
Amazon Fire TV is the foot in the door, and then this hardcore
Yeah,
console.
that's like
still
the
coming.
Game Boy. That's the portable. The actual the console is still coming.
I wish that were true. You give me a very serious face, like it is happening.
What? No, not the
Oh,
console.
okay.
I have no idea.
You're doing lots of face
No,
reading today,
I-
Kyle.
I try, yeah.
Brandon's right. Like it's a gaming thing. Like, and that's
Yeah.
having that is just another foot in the door for something else. Who knows where it could go? Just having it and seeing this is a huge thing in gaming right now. It's like might even be bigger than YouTube for gaming right now. We own it. Like we hold the gate. The keys to the future for this type of stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think smart purchase for sure. And I love your vision of the future. It's like we don't know where we're going, but we know Twitch will take us there.
Yeah.
Which I love. Yeah. All right. So huge news happened basically over the weekend. I had some funny conversations with Damiani about this because we both didn't want to believe this was true at first. The Smash Bros. Roster was largely leaked over the last 7 days.
Which I did not pay much attention to that, so you don't have to spoil everything.
Do you want us to spoil anything? That's my first question, basically. Is some person who was on 4chan basically leaked so much of that game, more than like we've had ever leaked for any Smash Bros. Game ever, basically. Are those leaks? I mean, they're definitely leaks. Are they spoilers? Should we talk about those, or should we leave them for Nintendo to roll out?
I mean, whatever Daniel wants to know, it's I'll respect it. But in general, of fighting games, I don't think there's such thing as character spoilers. I understand the controlled release of information to build up hype for a fighting game. Because that's really all you can do because there's no story. There's no usually isn't too crazy of features that you can hold back on. But in general, I feel that except for maybe one special character, having how Nintendo does it, where they might have several characters you might not know about. I don't get that's a reason people want to buy the game. Tell them who's in the game because it is a fighting game about characters. Even Mortal Kombat, in Street Fighter, they basically reveal every single character except for maybe just one secret hidden character that you might get at the very end if you do everything right, and that's it. That's how it should be. So.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's silly. I think it's silly when they hold back on characters that have been in past games. It's
Oh yeah.
you don't. You revealed it's Samus. Okay, well, great, thanks.
So far, Jigglypuff still not revealed officially.
Right, but yeah, when you're putting new characters in there, it's sure reveal some of them, but leave a few for me to just be fighting my friends, and then a new challenger has appeared. I'm that's actually exciting and fun, and sure, a lot of that stuff is going to get tweeted out the first 24 hours of the game's on the market, but even then, it's a bit of a surprise.
I've never had that happen. I've never had a new challenger appear that I wasn't aware of who that is already. Do you know what I mean?
I definitely felt in Melee, playing through Melee, that happened, a couple of times.
When Mewtwo showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Because wasn't the thing to get Mewtwo just play a certain amount of matches? And I bet that would be really cool. Just you and 4 friends just played 1,000 matches and then Mewtwo shows up.
Yeah.
Good grief, that would be cool. I see that appeal, Blood. I feel like that isn't possible today. I feel like I didn't spoil these for you today, but someone will before the game comes out, before you're playing with your 4 friends and it says a new challenger appears. Don't you?
But we were talking too about what Hyrule Warriors, right? And it's just knowing every character that's in the game feels like
kind of sucks some fun out of it.
Yeah.
It absolutely does in that case. It's
I
weird.
mean, PT didn't get spoiled. We didn't know that was Silent Hills until we were supposed to know. That worked.
Yeah.
So I actually feel the opposite. I find it less when something gets leaked, and I get really frustrated and furious. I wish stuff like that didn't happen. I often think more on the opposite end of the spectrum. When something comes out that I didn't know, it's wow, that I don't know how they pulled that off. That's just crazy that they were able to develop that for as long as they did, and nobody just in this video, it's so easy to upload video. You can capture something on your phone, throw it up to YouTube right away.
Yeah.
It's just nobody did that. No friend, no cousin, no 8-year-old who had a phone who's we're just stopping by the office real quick. And like, oh my god, like, I just went up and hung out with the Disney Infinity guys. You know, just like so many opportunities. Just like, snap.
Okay. Yeah.
But I didn't because I like them.
Yeah.
You know, like I actually care about them, and so like you have to have a culture not only of responsibility, but of actually like, I don't know, caring about the stuff. Like as somebody who's really passionate about the trailer campaign, it pisses me off that, you know, they're stunting that. They're like, haha, all those people that are making these cool videos, these great reveals of these characters. No, I'm cooler than you. This guy who just stumbled across this piece of paper, and that's like that's frustrating. Or I'm this guy who got this email. Haha, I'm stealing all your thunder.
Yeah.
And it's one thing if like Kano's announced in Mortal Kombat 10, like okay, you know, or like we find someone who's like a part of the cast, but like Smash Brothers is just different. It's so special, and like them rolling out all these wacky characters, even if it is somebody that you're familiar with. I would much rather see how Nintendo rolls that stuff out.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because it's hard in retrospect to figure out like who did I not know about, but like Mr. Game & Watch, I mean that just came out of nowhere. That was crazy.
Leading into Melee.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what, Blood? I think I didn't know about Mr. Game & Watch before I played that game. I think that was one of the new Challenger appears. Holy cow, what is this thing? Yeah, right, and that's just such a terrific feeling.
But that was the era before everything got spoiled, and we saw video of everything.
Yeah. I don't
like
think that
now we're like,
anymore.
God, Assassin's Creed, too many trailers. It's like what a good problem to have, you know?
Yeah, so that's
too
actually
much marketing.
Brandon, that's the question I wanted to ask the panel today. It's like, what is the ideal way to roll out? What is your ideal vision of a way to roll out a character roster?
I've been studying this thing recently called game trailers.
Yeah, exactly. That's why.
I'm writing a novel about it, and
I wish you would.
Yeah, trailers, duh. I mean, to have separate things. I love when they combine them. You know, it's like, you know, two characters that don't seem like they would make sense at all. Yeah, anytime they have those moments, anytime you see any one of those characters in any of the trailer, go, huh? You know, you're like, it's just something happens inside of you. Like, I can't wait to see who this is.
Yeah, and I don't even mean specifically to this game. I feel like there's like too long and too short of a release like ahead of release window to start.
Right.
Like, what is the best time to start trailers? You know what I mean? And how many before launch?
I think it's a percentage thing and not necessarily like a month. It's like, God, I don't know. Good question. I should have had that prepared.
You don't have to prepare.
But no, it's like you know, it's like calculus. You know, I'm sure there's like a whole crazy, you know, equation that you could draw out depending on like the size of the game. You know, it's like we were talking recently about stuff on games on PSN where it's just like, oh, you just found it. They let us not say anything about this game until this moment, and you can buy it right now. So it's like that there was no campaign. You know, that was just.
And you're saying because it's a smaller game, it's easier to do that kind of thing.
Yeah. So because they have something that's not only as big as Smash Brothers, but something that's so anticipated. Like no one was saying anything about Smash Brothers when we first found out about the Wii U, but we all knew like, okay, well, get ready for whatever the next chapter of that is going to be, and so they can build on that anticipation and slowly trickle stuff out. Whereas if you're something like, you know, Mirror's Edge 2 or, you know, something that like a new series, like you might not want to be that cocky or that like, we'll take our time with this. Like really choose to like hit those moments where you can like grab people's attention and hold it rather than. But it's always nice. Almost all those trailers popped up in a completely random moment. It was just like a Tuesday, nothing was happening, and all of a sudden Charizard, bam.
A tweet, there will be a new trailer coming up tomorrow.
So.
And it's all the Fire Emblem characters. Man, that was cool. A live trailer. I think that's why that live trailer existed. Is that thing where it's just like it isn't spoiled. It's like we're all going to see these Fire Emblem characters together. But I still think the vast majority of people who ever watched it was just like later, an hour later, when they wake up, Fire Emblem characters click here, and then they click on it, and then they see those Fire Emblem characters.
But I don't know, between a trailer and like a list you can read on the internet, I mean, a list is pretty sweet. It's pretty dynamic, you know?
Here's what I like about the list.
When your eye moves down to the next line, just totally fills you up, doesn't it?
I think there's something like innately exciting about a leak. Do you know what I mean? I think there's something that like almost makes that list more exciting in that we had it. You know what I mean? Take that, Sakurai. You can't leak this out at us. We have this now. Does anyone else see a value to that? To like the power of a leak?
There's this weird uncertainty to it. Like,
yeah, exactly. There was that too.
Like you guys were saying, like you don't know if this is real. Like did they just like
we
make
this
that
point
and the brawl mod and all that kind of thing?
At this point, it's definitely.
Yeah. At this point, it is. But like
there was a period, right, where it's just like, is this real? Is it not real?
I think that, like, to me, an exciting leak is when things are like in flux. Like, oh, we heard this crazy piece of information about this thing that might start being in development, or this game that might be delayed, or this person that moved the company to this one other thing. It's another thing with like these fighters. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's these.
I think you're right. I think part of the
Let's
uncertainty.
all talk about this for a while. It's like that conversation is going to end in 10 minutes because we're going to look at the list and go, oh, it's them. Great. Thanks.
Oh, I promise you, if Blood let us talk about them, we could talk about those characters for another hour. There's so much to talk about those characters.
Is there? I mean, without getting into details, is there some crazy? I haven't seen it.
There's
so
some crazies, and there's just some things where it's like, oh my gosh, that's gonna be great. And then for me, an interesting thing is the anxiety is gone. Do you know what I mean? There's still some open slots, but there's some sort of like anxiety I have where it's just like, all right, I need to know what's next. You know what I mean? And having that anxiety gone and just having this list and say, oh, okay, there it is. Now I feel like I can be excited for a game. Is that weird? Does anyone else have that? In the comments, if you have that, please make me feel not as weird as this table has.
Smash anxiety.
It's like genuine Smash anxiety, yeah.
But it could totally be lies. Like, why did everybody trust this guy? Like, clearly, this has got to be real.
The evidence piled up. It piled up like crazy.
Okay.
At first, it's like, oh, these could be really good fakes, but just like they'd be the craziest, insaneliest fakes ever, and then it just kind of things like a Sakurai daily update like confirmed it. It's like, oh, the master hand is the exact same. There's no way to fake that.
Sure.
You win. Guy. We assume it's a guy. What if it could be a woman?
It could. I don't know why that's a point, but okay.
Everyone knows I love a game announcement.
All right.
We got a game announcement this week.
Oh goodness.
Sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Pokken Fighters.
Right?
This is a fighting game featuring Pokemon characters in the style of the Tekken franchise.
I don't like how much Nintendo we're talking about on this episode of GT Time.
Nintendo had a lot of news this week. Not all intentional. I mean, they didn't intentionally leak that thing, but Pokken was intentional. They intentionally put out that
It's
trailer.
weird to me that they had the word fighters. It just feels unnecessary.
Should just be Pokken?
Pokken, yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
I actually didn't know there was the fighters attached to it. Everyone was just saying Pokken around the office. So
Yeah. Well, that was the trademark a long time ago. I feel like almost a year ago, the word Pokken was trademarked. And they had, oh my gosh, it was a history of Pokemon video. It was before X and Y came out. At the very end, they showed like an image of what appeared to be a fighting game with a Blaziken fighting a Lucario. And so it's like, oh, that's Pokken. And so this release, to anyone who is like crazy about stuff like that, like me, we're just like, oh, there it is. There's Pokken. Were any of you amazed by this trailer?
you crushed Michael Huber. Michael Huber came in to the office and he was like, I cannot wait. Just all of you wait until Kyle Bossman comes in and sees this for the first time. And I guess he came in and we're like, Pokken.
Yeah. Did anyone else say to that trailer?
Well, I say to
Most trailers?
Well, just Pokemon in general. Not that it's bad. I just don't play it. You know what I mean? You got to separate things.
There's lots of games I don't play that I'm not to.
Well, then maybe was, well, I mean, there's different layers of And if you wrote to somebody in an email, it could mean a lot of different things.
Andrew Renee's trying to play Pokemon X on the PAX trip.
Well, I'm not going to.
On what?
Yeah.
On the PAX trip?
She was wondering what she should take X or Y.
I could have helped with that.
Well, too late now.
Okay.
Where were you, Kyle?
I don't know. So
I know I'm not going to play that. I'm not good at fighting
he was
games and I don't
probably
play
shooting, I
Pokemon.
think.
So Andrea has chosen now to play Pokemon X and Y?
Yeah.
Wow,
Well,
that's so strange.
yeah.
On her trip to PAX. What did she end up picking?
she picked X.
Nice.
And what am I going to play at PAX, Kyle?
You're playing Rusty's Real Deal Baseball.
Yeah.
You should play
What's
a Pokemon
Damiani
game
playing?
before Rusty's
what?
Real Deal Baseball.
During PAX?
What are you playing this
You're
weekend?
not going. but-
Oh, not going to PAX.
Yeah, what are you playing this weekend?
Not Pokemon.
What's your impression of that trailer of Pokken?
Don't care.
You don't care, and like why?
Like,
shouldn't this be a big deal?
It should be a big deal,
Right.
but I think everyone knew about this. This wasn't a secret, and the fact they showed off a CG trailer.
I actually didn't know
of
about it, but
Okay, I should clarify.
If that's CG, that's
most people,
bad CG.
Whatever
That's
the
not
heck it
CG.
was,
No.
it looked boring. It didn't look like that entertaining, and because now it's like clearly like it's Tekken. It's Tekken with Pokemon. It's like I don't like Tekken, so it's like no, don't care. Like if I want like this type of fighting game,
Okay.
People hate Marvel, whatever. I want to see like Marvel 3 levels of insane stuff, like Pokemon being called in, like the trainer summons them in, like as an assist. There's all this flashy stuff going on. I don't want to see like a 3D fighter where they're just moving around. And sorry to people who like Tekken, I just find it incredibly boring to watch. Might be really fun to play, but something like Marvel, like this looks insane. Like that level of like action. Like they should have shown like an actual fight with like the HUD and everything.
Yeah.
Instead of what they showed off. And even you were complaining, Kyle, like Machado was like, oh, he's only using 2 hands. He's not like using the rest of his like hands to fight. Like he's just like
So to people who aren't familiar with Pokemon, Machamp is a character with 4 arms.
I've seen him in the images. Yeah.
Yeah, putting a character like that in a fighting game should be awesome, but they didn't even like implement it well, which really bums me out. A guy with 4 arms, Goro uses his 4 arms better than this guy did. He basically just swings really heavy, and I don't think that's fair. Just because he's a tall guy with 4 arms doesn't mean he has to be slow. He should be able to just like grab you with this arm, punch you with this one, bop your head, and just like no grabs. Nobody did any grabs in this entire
Look at
trailer.
the reveal of Greninja and Charizard in Smash Bros.
Oh,
That trailer versus what you just saw for Pokken.
Yeah.
I was like, Pokken, slow and boring. Smash Bros. Trailer, the game doesn't play like that, but like, whoo, super like, entertaining to watch and stuff. I was like, man, that gets me excited, even if Smash Brothers is still a little too slow. But I don't know.
Maybe the desire was to show like here's what it is, like just so you understand, so you can be excited for that. I guess if you are, but
Well,
I mean, you
announced only for arcades so far as well.
Arcades first. Arcades first implies it will obviously come to console.
Yeah.
Pokemon don't do that, right? They don't fight like that. Like that's not a thing that happens.
What do you mean?
Pokemon. I know Pokemon fight each other, but
Yeah.
Pokemon don't like punch each other in the face a lot. Like even in the cartoon, there's a lot of like posturizing, and then there's like one big attack, and then that was a big thing that happened. There's not a lot of like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Sure, there absolutely
Between
is.
Pokemon?
Yeah. And especially if it's a fighting Pokemon, which is a type. A type
Ah,
of
okay.
Pokemon is fighting, and it's.
Well, that's the question too. Is like, will it be primarily fighting type Pokemon or?
Can I tell you what I imagine this game is? It's about a tournament that's only fighting type Pokemon, and so there's
But
rules.
Lucario's not fighting type, right?
He absolutely is.
He is.
Yep.
Oh.
He's fighting Steel. So there's like a tournament where it's like, all right, only fighting type Pokemon can enter this tournament. No potions, no held items. This is strictly fighting. And I think that's like the scenario of the game. That's not been confirmed. That's just my hypothesis.
So Pikachu won't be in it, but he'll be like cheering from the back.
Yeah. Pikachu is not fighting type. Cannot enter.
And yeah, no trainers, right? Didn't see anybody.
Right.
Not in that video.
We're just out.
Hey man,
Yeah.
if I can't play as Snorlax, then no buy.
Snorlax will not be in this game.
Snorlax, he'll play like Honda.
E-Honda, he's not Snorlax.
Slower Honda.
Yeah, so he'd be a slower E-Honda. E-Honda's cool. So just so we don't have to talk about a Pokemon game for more, I want to go more general. Basically, my feeling coming away with this, I felt guilty. And so I want to have a discussion about graphics. Is it today still okay to be disappointed by how a game looks when it looks like that? You know what I mean? It looked good, but I still said,
I need to stop watching stuff on my phone.
why?
Because it's so small and it makes it look way better. That's why I even thought it was like CG watching on my.
Oh, okay.
Not even like on the iPhone, like vertical, orientation as well. So I wasn't even watching it like full screen.
Sure.
And it was so small. I was like, oh look, a boring CG trailer. Now you guys are like, oh, it's in game. I didn't watch it ever again. So I'm sure if I go watch it on a normal screen, it's like, oh yeah, this doesn't look good.
Yeah, it's underwhelming visually, and basically, shouldn't we be above that? Do you know what I mean?
Are
That's
you
my
insinuating
question.
that there's going to be some time where we're ever not going to be pissy about how games look compared against each other?
Right.
Ever in the
Right.
history of video
Shouldn't
games?
we be over that though?
We're
Shouldn't we be
gonna
like,
reach some level where it's just like, we've made it. Let's all shake hands, everybody. We've reached the graphical limit that we want.
Yeah.
Everything else past here is just a bonus.
I want to be what I want us all to be is like video game scholars who like look at a thing and like look at it under its levels. Do you know what I mean? And somebody's just like, the graphics are crappy, and you're like, but look, you know what I mean? But I'm not there yet, and I'm wondering if you are. Do you know what I mean? No. Okay.
Very important. Especially if it's such a colorful, fun game, that has an association with a lot of other video games that have included Pokemon, whether they were Pokemon games or not, that looked great.
Yeah, I mean, Pokemon has had so many absolutely terrible looking games. I mean, this is pretty good.
What is an example of an absolutely terrible looking Pokemon game?
Oh man, what was it called? It was like this little, like there's a farm and there's like these little polygon Pokemon, like N64 models, but it was on the Wii.
You win. Yeah, I think it's called Pokemon Farm. And that's what
Was it that or Pokemon Rumble?
Well, Pokemon Rumble uses those same dumb character models.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right, Blood. You win that. Because they were like low poly models that are like basically you would use it to store them on your Wii, but also they ended up putting them in the Pokemon Rumble games. Gosh, those are bad.
And they even made like figurines that looked like those.
Yeah.
Weird, sharp little figurines.
And it's funny, like people are like, oh, Bossman, you're gonna go nuts. You're gonna buy all those, right? And I'm like, no, those are ugly toys. Those are ugly Pokemon toys. What are you doing selling? Like you have these already very appealing characters. Let's make them unappealing. Let's make them low poly. Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's at least an improvement over that, is what you're saying?
Well, I mean, for years you never really saw Pokemon animate. So it's like a fully modeled 3D animated Pokemon is
I would say for
kind of a new thing.
For 2 years, you didn't see them animate. Pokemon Stadium was like
Pokemon
99.
Stadium.
Well, yeah, but even that was this weird detached thing of like you see one on one side, you see the other, and then you never see them interact or touch or anything.
Yeah, they still don't have that down. I guess if that's like what Pokemon Fighters will do.
You're still talking about Pokemon.
No, we're not. All right, so Brandon, do you think it's wrong on the other side of the spectrum? Do you think it's wrong to see a game that graphically looks astounding and say, "Oh my gosh, I got to play that"?
To play a game because it looks graphically astounding?
Yeah.
No, Journey. That sounded like a cool concept, but I know for a fact I'm going to play that game, back when I did, because, God, that game looks gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
There are moments in that game I don't believe. There are moments in Unity I don't believe in Assassin's Creed. There are dense crowds that seem to be diverse enough in animation where it's like, I challenge you, Ubisoft. I really want to play that game, to run in there and find a crowd that big and see. Seeing Frank West on top of the truck and the Dead Rising 1 trailer where he was like down in the tunnels and there's all the zombies there. It's like, no,
Yeah.
So yeah, that definitely does happen where I want to see. Did you really pull that off? Is that just because there's sometimes if it's something like Call of Duty or Crysis, like I can tell like, okay, that was a cool cinematic that you set up where that boat just capsized right at that point. Like that's clearly something that you polished over and over and over and over again to get that just perfect.
Right.
But when a game just kind of makes just general assumptions of like, oh, look what our crazy tech can do. That's the stuff that
and you can hop
I would
in,
also associate with graphics. Yeah.
play around with it. Yeah. I mean that's like it. As you're all video game critics, what role does graphics play in how a video game is valued?
To me, it depends on how long the game sustains a long look at itself. Like how many opportunities with a game like really sets up like, whoa, look at that. Where if it's a game that's a little more fun or just really focuses on like Phoenix Rage. It's not a good-looking game.
Right.
But it's they did it's cute, but
Right.
it is not like a graphically compelling game. And there are games that are like that, fun platformer games that definitely have just huge, gorgeous like Muramasa backgrounds and animated sprites and everything like that. So.
And I think in that case, definitely adds value to the game.
Because they do a good job selling it. It's like,
Yeah.
here's why we did this, because we want you to appreciate these new areas that you're going to. Whereas Phoenix Rage is like, yeah, we'll send you to new areas, but what's really important is like the millimeters you are right next to that one item in a Super Meat Boy style. So it's like, as long as we can make that really clear, visually distinct, like it doesn't, it could be a purple background, it could be a red background, doesn't matter. Where, it's like all the areas of Muramasa are going to have like 3 platforms. So like those 3 platforms better look totally different, or something like what's the one where you're a little white bear thing and like you're shooting out spells? Ori, what is that?
Oh yeah.
In the Blink Forest.
Yep.
Blind Forest.
The
Yeah,
Blink
yeah.
Forest.
A game where it has lots of fun ideas going for it, but if I'm at an event looking all sorts of games, like I'm gonna stop because wow, look at that has a crazy visual aesthetic that I want to play around with. So it's how they sell it in game.
Blood, are you happy to not have a little like number to put next to graphics when you do reviews?
Oh yeah, it's so weird and so many different people. Like even what that word means, like we get hammered for that every year. Like, but that's not graphics. That's something else. And they're like, well, yeah, no, we're just talking about the visuals in general. Like.
Are you referring to how in game trailers gave best graphics to Kirby's Epic Yarn?
That E3. Yeah.
Oh no, it was like
No, that was
best of
E3.
the year awards. I
No,
thought.
that was E3.
Oh okay. Best graphics
Yeah.
was an award. Man, that's weird. That's a weird award.
But I mean, that game looks gorgeous, and I'm looking forward to seeing the Yarn Yoshi like pick up on that.
It's not a weird award if you spend weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of your life just staring at a screen
Right.
and making something beautiful.
But
Yeah,
and
but
you
there's
have
a lot
someone
of
recognizing
see,
it,
that's the
like-
thing. There's
Yeah.
like a lot of different elements to things. It's like how much care, like in a game like Uncharted or Last of Us, like how much care went to making that environment look believable. Like to me, that has more value than it's like, oh well, your textures have this many pixels in them,
Mm-hmm.
and how you set up your lights, even if you aren't using real-time light sources, can be more effective than processing all of that extra stuff in the background and particles and that kind of thing.
Damiani, have you ever given a game a higher score because you were so impressed by its graphics?
Back when we actually gave a score for graphics,
Right.
that factored into it more. now I would say like now that we're not like we're forced to do that anymore. I honestly think graphics can either like Mario Kart 8. Like it was nice to see like
So
Nintendo
pretty.
actually you care about that.
Yeah.
And for me, like the only time I really put a lot of stake in graphics is if they are constantly wowing me. Like it's either on an aesthetic or on a technical level. It's like wow. Like I've not seen many games or any game do this before. This is like really good. Then I feel the need to mention that in the review. Of course, it's going to affect the score. If it's positive, it's positively influencing it. On the flip side, if a game is not doing its job, if like there's something off with the graphics that's like actually detracting from your experience, it's like wow, like that didn't look good there. And actually, especially when it interferes with gameplay, like that's like the worst, and it's also going to negatively impact it. I'm gonna say like I talked about Mario Kart 8's graphics. That gave it a better score than if it looked just like Mario Kart Wii again. Somehow. But I don't think I'm trying to remember an actual time where like it significantly raised the score. I don't think that's ever happened. I might be wrong. I don't have every single one of my reviews memorized.
No, Mario Kart 8's a good example.
But yeah,
I
like
think
that was
that's a really good
the
example.
most recent one was like
Yeah.
wow, like thank you Nintendo for actually putting some like effort into not just like the technical aspect, but like making this look really good.
Right.
You've
Yeah.
done a good job with aesthetics. You did that with like the Wii. There were a lot of great looking Wii games. You mentioned Muramasa. It started off as a Wii game that looked amazing, even though that wasn't an HD console at the time. It's like wow, you guys can.
Actually, we put that review up in HD.
Yeah,
even
because-
though it wasn't
Yeah, because of
outputting in
HD.
HD.
That's
that
cool.
was
That's
kinda
really
funny.
cool.
But yeah, like there's great things you can do with that type of stuff, and it looked good. And you mentioned like Kirby's Epic Yarn, like that was on Wii as well. I was like, whoa, like there's things you can do like that. So whether it's great achieving great aesthetics with like limited technology, or whether it's using more powerful technology to create stuff you haven't seen before. Whether it's like trying to make like this is the most realistic thing you've seen, or we haven't been able to do like fluid cell shaded graphics like this on any level before. Like that's like amazing. So yeah, I mean I appreciate graphics and stuff, and I think you're kind of foolish just if anyone says like oh graphics don't matter and stuff. It's like whether you believe it or not, who cares? Like up here you are caring about it. You just don't know it.
You're saying we'll never be those scholars who are just like wait, but see. We'll never be
Hey,
those guys.
You want to put on the scholar cap?
I
and
do,
Then, like,
man,
like,
someday.
just to talk about this poking reveal.
I don't
So-
think anyone
yeah.
wants you to put the scholar cap on.
I find it
No, nobody wants me to do
I
it,
find
yeah.
it fascinating that they would put Pokemon in this situation. I wonder if they're only fighting types, and that they won't hold items and use
wow.
potions.
Oh
you are
my
a
gosh.
Pokemon scholar.
What does it mean
Yes.
that they're fighting? Is what the scholar says.
Yeah, what does it mean? Why
Yeah.
are they fighting without the trainers? What are the developers trying to send there with their message to kids?
Why isn't Machamp using all 4 of his arms? What does that mean?
Perhaps he's injured. Maybe there are injuries in this game that we haven't accounted for
This
yet.
is a new show. We just go way
Yeah,
farther
yeah.
into something than you were ever
Yeah.
intended to.
Okay, so that's all the news. We're done. We talked about Pokemon for too long. Brandon was talked about too much Pokemon today. We're over his quota. Let's do our closing bet. So we have an exciting announcement coming.
I didn't see
Volition,
what the bet was.
Volition has announced that they're going to announce a game at PAX during their panel. A brand new game. This week's bet.
Shoot.
How many letters will be in the full title? Blood, it's your turn to choose whether you want to go first or last.
So I'll go first.
Okay.
And so the trick to me is, do numbers count as letters?
So if it's it
No,
depends on how they
characters,
do
right?
it. Yeah. So numbers will count as letters. They'll count as characters.
Okay.
Spaces will not count
So
as
I'll say
characters. Okay. The full title.
Yeah.
Okay, you're locked in.
Can I also say 10?
You cannot also say 10.
Can I say 10 in another language?
That's why we do the you can choose whether you want to go first or last. You know what I mean? That's why it rotates. That's part of the whole deal.
Well, yeah, if it's not 10, then it's like 18 or something. It's something. Yeah.
Is 18 your bet?
Sure, 18.
Okay.
18 will be my bet.
You know, I think that's a good bet. I think secretly we're all thinking, okay, it's going to be Saints Row 4th pun is like what we're all assuming, I think. Like, what is it going to be? Like, it'd be cool if Volition does something that isn't Saints Row, but I think we're all thinking that. What'd you just say?
18.
14 will be my bet.
Wow. 10, 14, and 18.
Yep. You're in a tricky position. Damiani's last to pick. How many letters will be in the title of Volition's next game?
Damn. I'm going to say 8.
8.
Ooh.
Wow.
I like that bet. That's cool.
One
I think he
word.
was rounding up. I know
One
you were
word.
rounding up. So that brings us to, let's lock those in.
It's going to be way lower.
So
They're all gonna be low.
that brings us to last week's bet, which was what would
Ridiculous.
the Metacritic average be for the Xbox One version of Madden 15? Damiani trolled us again. He said 7.8. When I looked up the Metacritic review for the user score of the Xbox One version of Madden 15, it was exactly 7.8.
I even researched, and that didn't help me at all.
It was exactly 7.8. And I almost think that it's not even possible to work that. You know what I mean? If everyone who watched this show still went and gave it a 7.8, it still wouldn't have averaged out right. It's just dumb, stupid luck. That's all I can't think of it any other way. If you look at the other versions, it's not 7.8. It's very different numbers. Only the Xbox One version is 7.8. So Damiani is rewarded with another point.
He doesn't look happy about it at all.
So just to be clear, scores now. Brandon Jones, 1 point. Kyle, 5 points. Damiani has 7 points, only one behind Bloodworth at 8. Incredible.
Do I get a 0.8 if I win this next
No,
one?
you don't. It's full points. Gosh, what a rally, dude. You're really climbing up on Bloodworth
7.8.
with his 7.8 bets. And that's why he did 8 words this week. He's just going to keep doing it. I'm going to steal it from you next week. You can't do 7.8 next week. So Damiani, you're rewarded not only with a point, but you also get to close out the show and plug any video you want.
All right, 2 weeks in a row.
Yep.
That's awesome. I was gonna refer you all to a different video, but I don't think I should refer to videos that aren't from game trailers. So actually, go check out. This is going up on today. It should be going up. You should check out the new Pop Facts on Donkey Kong Country Returns and Tropical Freeze. It's about Metroid references. It's pretty cool,
Nice.
and it'll lead you to speculate more about whether Retro's next game is going to be Metroid or not. You know, whether it's just them appreciating their history or if they're teasing us. Never forget the Metroid pin on Reggie.
Weird theory that I kind of hope isn't true. But since they've been making side-scrolling Metroid games,
HD,
Yeah.
new Super Metroid coming from Retro. That would be amazing. So again, thank you. I just made our camera person Ian go nuts. Thank you for watching again. You can follow all of us at our Twitter handles, which should be appearing right now. We'll be back next Friday, where I'm sure these two will have lots to talk about PAX. Oh, I'm gonna give them a shout out. Is it today that you're like when this is going up the live stream for game trailers? We should.
Friday.
It's
Yes.
too late at this point. It's probably.
Oh yeah, you missed it. Yeah,
Never
yeah,
mind.
sorry.
We'll cut that part out.
We had a great
When
panel.
is today? Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch the archive of it. If you missed it, watch the archive of these two and some other people from the Just Live
Campus and
family.
Game Front.
Yes, doing some Q&A. Might have some fun stuff to talk about. So check in next week, and we'll have some updates from PAX. And have a good weekend.
yeah, don't.
I love the Xbox.
Damiani, what's in your mug?
So for this week, we have a special guest.
What?
Oh, it's
Wilson!
Yeah.
Wilson! I'm sorry, Wilson.
Why do you have that?
It goes on top of old cars. Wow, it didn't come out. It's the antenna ball.
Oh, okay.
Like when the
okay.
Jack in the Box ones were popular.
Yeah.
I found a Wilson one. I actually bought 2. One got so destroyed because I drove my old car so much, and then this one I just held on to. It was like in my trunk forever. I didn't lose Wilson.
So did you like Castaway?
No, I just found the Wilson part kind of amusing. So I was like, Wilson! I'm sorry, Wilson!
Wow.
More animated than he was the
Perfect.
entire hour.